So let me introduce you with Naama Kostiner. She has traveled from Austria, even during this time that everybody is isolated somehow. I don't know how you found the way to come back to London.
Oh, that was a way.
And Naama is a clinical psychotherapist, a coach, and an artist.
Yes.
And when I ask her, where are you based? She's all over. She is originally from Austria, but she's coming from Israel. She has a home in London and a truly global woman. So, Naama, welcome back to London.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
How does it feel? How long have you been away?
You know, it's been almost a year and I couldn't travel. First of all, you know, I got injured, so I'm a bit handicapped at the moment using a stick, so that makes it even more complicated. But I think I felt a need to travel again. You know, I felt a need to feel kind of more at home. I've been in lockdown for about 3 months, and to kind of get that flow of things. I believe that if you change something, you go back to a flow state. So it just felt very important to do it again. And I find the UK as strange as all the world is now.
Yes, I understand that. And well done for making things happen and for being brave to still continue living a normal life under these circumstances. So, Naama, you are a clinical psychotherapist.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about mental health.
Okay.
What have you been experiencing recently as you work with different clients around the world?
Okay, so I've been a mental health practitioner for over 25 years, and I opened my coaching business in 2007 when I wanted to work specifically with creatives, creative entrepreneurs. And, you know, having a background of art, I think helps. It's like a media of expression. It's something that you can use as a coping mechanism. But I think, okay, here's the answer. Here it's how it's going to sound. So it's a bit funny. I think for those of us who were very much immersed in our routines, it's been weird because people are looking to find their income and looking to find their businesses in the same way that you're used to doing it. So if you've been this person that's very much, let's say, programmed even to wake up in the morning, to have very specific routines, I think for that chunk of society, it's been a bit challenging to think about what can I do now? How can we talked ourselves about you changing all your platforms to be, you know, COVID friendly in a sense that they're more in the internet, and thank God for the internet right now. But I think for many people it was hard not to travel. It was hard to think about working from home, homeschooling. I think those people were in a bit more of a crisis. What I found interesting, Mirela, perhaps you'll also find this a bit funny, is that people who naturally tend to have struggles, like with challenges.
So some people, you're saying some people are really good in finding struggles even without COVID.
Yes, yes. But those people, interestingly enough, I found a calmness during COVID, because it's almost like someone's telling you all the time, there are always challenges. And when it happens globally, you find this peace because it's almost like you find a justification.
Oh, they blame the world.
Exactly. You find a justification for your situation finally. So now everybody, excuse my language, but now everybody's stuck. So yeah, that's
I should
good.
be stuck as well.
Exactly. Now it's working. I mean, I was worried for some people how they're going to function, and I was surprised by the ability of actually having their coping mechanisms works fantastically, because finally everyone understands. And you know, it puts someone in the state of mind of asking, okay, you know what, if you need this reassurance from the outside all the time that now people understand in order to feel better, look at what you've been wavering on. Look at what you've been relying on. You all the time looked outside to external circumstances to feel better about yourself. Be it people now understanding me better so I feel better. And of course it makes sense, but it puts all the, I think when we're mentally a bit imbalanced, we put all our emphasis on external circumstances. It's just, I think we've all been affected by these circumstances. It's just how we've let the outside affect us. So for these people, it would be, now I feel more understood. And for others, it would be, okay, I need to find some sort of system so I can still work. But I think for either, we really need to find a way to internalize our balance no matter what. Like, I know we've been speaking before about the way that you handle challenges, and because you said I've been on this journey forever, so any challenge that I see, it doesn't matter if it's COVID or something else that we're going through, it's just another step to go through.
It's just another form of it.
And the interesting question is really, how do we find resources in such times to actually not look at everything from a very limited perspective?
And you're right, and there are so many ways that people cope when they face challenges, when they face problems, because coping and dealing with stress, with fear, with anxiety, uncertainty, it's very different from different people.
Yeah.
But still, statistics in this country show that the mental health is becoming a big crisis.
Yes.
So, do you think this is like the same in every culture, in every country, or probably people in some cultures they are more prepared? For example, as you said, some people, as they are used to face challenges all the time, they just see it as a something different. It's just another one. But some people that their culture is routine. Wake up in the morning, get the train, go to the office, finish, get out, get a beer, go home until the weekend comes, and that's it. But not all the cultures have the same rhythm, the same routine. Do you think that this is a way of experiencing differently and a way of coping in a different way? Or I want to see your perspective, because you have traveled a lot. And I want to see your perspective of people coping mechanism based on their cultures, belief system, or values, or background, or nationality. Is any difference?
Well, I think we're talking about the difference between tribal societies and Western societies mostly here. Because when we're speaking of Western society, we've been programmed to panic in times like this. The brain really likes it, or at least your left side of the brain really likes it when you have this routine of going to the pub and going to the office. And it works very, very well when you're programmed, because it actually frees the brain to take care of, anything else that happens, as long as you're relying on this habitual behavior.
Automated process.
Exactly. You're a psychologist, so you know what I'm talking about as well. But when we get into this crisis phase, we the whole fight or flight reaction, we get really tense and we start looking for solutions. The only thing is that we look for solutions where we can't find them. We look for them where we're used to. So we've never been in COVID before, and we try to look for solutions for COVID in a different state of mind where there wasn't COVID yet, so it doesn't make any sense. And then you feel like I have no resources or I don't know what to do. But this requires, I think this is where creativity comes in a very big way, because this requires a different mindset. So if you're talking about tribal societies, I've lived in the Amazon, for example, it's very different there. Like, they couldn't be bothered or care less, at least like in the remote villages, if there's COVID or no COVID, if COVID even reached there, because the whole way of life is different. You have some routines, but you're talking about survival every day. You're talking about living in unpredictability. You're talking about living within the notion of creativity. So I suppose it changes the way you look at things, but for the most of us, it's just brains. It's beyond culture. Whenever we have crisis, we look for solutions in where we can't find them. And it took like great minds. You could see this in the 20s of the other century, when the whole world was in one of the biggest financial crises, the Wall Street fell, everything, collapsed during that time. And it, of course, caused the Second World War afterwards. So this is how we cope with it naturally. But then you saw people like Ford or Carnegie making their fortune during that time. Napoleon Hill rising, people like that coming from that period and talking to you about mindset. And you're thinking, how could that even be possible? So you understand that they were, in a sense, and perhaps this is what you're talking about culturally, it's about how much we can ignore what we see. How much we can ignore our reality and actually focus on what we believe instead of what we see. So it's not about what we believe, I'm refining it. It's about what you want. And thinking that when you want something,
how do you make it happen?
Exactly, because I think this is where people are a bit confused when they say that your beliefs create your reality. It's not exactly that. It's your thoughts create your reality, because
your thoughts become words, and your words
Exactly.
become habits, and your habits become values, and your values become beliefs.
Yes,
So everything
because-
starts from the mind.
Because exactly like COVID, it's not that a whole bunch of us sat down and planned this. So same coin, vice versa. It's not that if I sit down and plan something and start, it's going to happen. It's mostly about thinking that there's a field of possibilities that I cannot see. And if I just focus on that and saying I'm looking for solutions, or I'm going to find solutions from an unseen source, this is where it comes from, really, and then you can start taking
That's why
action
it's
steps.
very interesting, because recently I have realized that more and more people are investing more time in personal development now, in self-development, in rediscovering themselves, in
Yeah.
reinventing themselves, and trying to find what is that source that I can reproduce and cope with it. So probably it's time for a lot of people to start refinding this and reevaluate their situation, and being able to see the unseen, as you mentioned. So do you think this is happening more than ever now?
I think on some levels. You see a division, at least in the beginning, of the people who are opposing. I think it's coming to terms with what there is, firstly. When we were talking about, let's say, tribal societies, because you expect the unexpected, sometimes it's easier, in a sense, to receive whatever's happening as a fact and saying, this is what's happening today, this is today's weather, now it's snowy and we just have to, deal with it. And it's more about the how. And some people stay in this. They focus about, like, they read charts all day. The people that listen to news all day and reading charts about going back to normality. Oh, I love that. I'm saying this cynically. No, I don't. They're looking to see, when will things get back to normal? And I keep thinking they're not. They're not going back to normal. They're shifting. They're going to be something else. I don't know what it is yet, but I can't live in if.
Yeah.
And I can't. I'm living in the end of what I want. I think, for me, one of the greatest inspirations that I've had on this matter was Zig Ziglar. You must have heard
of course.
Zig
Ziglar is
He was
famous
incredible, and I think that
writer and author.
he had one
philosopher.
stronghold that I loved very much, which was acceptance. He could accept anything and turn it around. I think that was, for me, the way I studied him, was like the strongest stronghold, because I remember once they did an interview with him years ago when he was stuck in an airport. He was already an old man, and there was a snowstorm and flights got canceled, and he needed to stay like overlap hours in the airport. So he explains how the people were standing in the queue and getting angry, like getting cross and arguing with everyone, and with, how could this be, and now we're going to be stuck here. And you see Zig Ziglar just sitting there, and I think what happened, his son was saying later, is that the stewardess, like the flight attendants, they thought that he was a senile old man that doesn't understand. So they came to explain to him again. They did not understand his calm reaction. They're like, Mr. Ziglar, do you understand
What is going
that
on?
you're going to be, because he's like, yeah. No, but Mr. Ziglar, do you understand that you're going to be stuck here? He's like, yeah. So may I ask why you're so calm? And he's like,
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, he's like, this is fantastic, with this American, like, Southern accent. This is amazing. This is fantastic. And like, how could it be fantastic? So he says, I've never been to this establishment, and I always wanted to visit this airport. It's so magnificent, and I've been procrastinating. I'm behind on emails and some phone calls. What a grand opportunity from the universe to just sit around and do this. I'm feeling fantastic.
So it's the way you see it.
Yeah, and then they asked him, are you actually happy about this? He says, well, no, I'm not happy about this, but I mean, what, do you want me to suffer more? I'm going to make the best of it, And he had this magical way of turning everything around, and I think this is really the difference.
Well, you don't
you
need to
see
go to Ziglar, because we have Men Searching for Meaning, to Franklin.
Yes.
And he sees the same. Imagine he experienced like a terrible experience with
Holocaust.
and he still managed to find the meaning. And that book has relieved millions of people around the world that were failing to find that meaning and failing to see the opportunity in any adversity. So probably that is the message that we should take as the whole experience that we're having as humanity, because everything that we go through, every challenge that we go through, it's bringing a new opportunity.
You know, Mirela, the thing is, I think, just to add on to that, I think it's very scary to be in this state of mind. I think I can imagine Ziegler sitting there and everybody is being afraid of this old crazy man, because this is what he probably. I think it's very scary to allow yourself.
You can create your own.
Yes. It's scary to be available to the fact that you don't have to be stressed. That whether you're stressed or not, it's going to be solved. You may just be holding it back or holding yourself back from a solution if you're stressed. The opposite.
Well, sometimes it's healthy, and sometimes it helps, and sometimes it's the only choice that we can to buy time.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
If I always say if you are worrying so much for something that you don't know if it's going to happen, or probably it happens or not happening, you don't know. So, but let's suppose that it's going to happen. Why do you worry twice? Wait and worry when it comes. And let's suppose that also it has arrived. When it has arrived, again, you ask yourself two questions. Do I have control over it? If the answer is no, then you have to be a Ziegler. You have to do nothing just to find a way. So, okay, just be a Ziegler. Yeah. And if the answer is yes, then you focus on, okay, what can I do? And then the solution here is, again, how do I respond to it? That is the only choice we have. How do we answer to this situation? And I love this is a story that it will stay with me. Sometimes you have to be a Ziegler. I wish I had his patience sometimes when, for example, I remember one moment, I'm going to Georgia. I go to the airport and I'm on time. This time I'm on time. Most of the time I am not, but this time I'm really on time. And they asked me, said, Madame, there is a problem with your ticket. Go there. We'll talk with you later. So people come in and they go, and come in and they go, and I'm still waiting. And I go back again and say, hey, guys, are you going to do something with my ticket? And they say, you know what? It's becoming very late now. You better go to another desk, and they guide me. You have to go there and left and right, and I felt like, oh my God, but it's not that much time left. I said, that's the only way you can sort out your ticket. There is I said, look, you have taken the money, and I have got the ticket. I've completely done the same process as always, and I go to the other desk, and the desk is closed. I come back again, say, hey, nobody's there. Oh, because it's too late now. It's 6 o'clock. They're closed. I said, what do I do? I mean, I have to board now because it was like less than 30 minutes. And she was calling somebody, and there was nobody left in the airport, in the area of boarding, check-in. And I was thinking, I said, hey, tomorrow I have to be there. I'm a keynote speaker. I have to be there. These guys have paid for me. They've paid my travel. They have paid my hotel. They've paid everything. You have to find a way. And I was not late. And I like, what do I do? And it was a moment that I thought, wow, I'm not going to win anything. These guys have no power. Even whatever I do with them, they're trying to call somebody. They have no power. So what I do, I open my laptop and I search for another ticket. What is the easiest way to go to Georgia? And I find out that I have to take the train to go to the other airport. I think I was in Heathrow. I had to go to Gatwick. And then from there, get a flight, which is a transition. So you're reminding me I had to go to Turkey, and then from Turkey but the bottom line is that I made it. Well, I wish I knew the story of the Ziegler, because I could handle it in a much nicer way, because to be honest, everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And that diversion to Turkey made me to meet somebody else. Then 2 months later, I ended up being in Istanbul, speaking into a huge, massive summit, which called Bospor Summit. And if I would not experience that, probably I would not be there. So what I'm trying to say with this, learn from the Ziegler story.
From the Ziegler story.
And also understand that if something terrible for that moment you feel is happening to you, is happening for a reason, because it's happening for better. Something better is coming. What is your interpretation on that?
I love it. And, you know, on that note, we're talking about flights and airports. I'll say one thing. You know, you asked me in the beginning how I came here. What I didn't share with you is all the hardship and struggle I could have had. I had problems with my passport coming out. I needed, because of COVID, like special documents. They gave me a hard time. And I just said to myself, you know what, I trust that universe can see more options than I can now. And I'm just waiting to see that. And in the end, I had like to pay nothing and I just crossed. But I think the most interesting thing happened when I actually boarded the plane. So I pre-bought a ticket that would make me comfortable, because I was thinking, okay, now I'm walking with a cane. I'm in a risk group. I want to be distant. Don't want to sit with a whole bunch of people. It's going to be fine. I board the plane and then they tell me, oh yeah, that's your seat. It's all great. It's secured, but we see you're handicapped. You can't sit here if you're handicapped. So you see, it seems like everything's going against the current, and I'm thinking, okay, risk group, I can't sit in the back. That, you know, after lockdown, they united all the flights into one. So all the back of the plane has about 115 people. And I'm thinking, I'm not sitting back there with all of them, you know? And I asked them, how much would it cost me to go to premium? And they go, yeah, about 700 euros. I'm like, I've already paid a lot for this ticket. I'm not paying 700 euros. But then I said, I'm not going in there, you know? I'm not going in this ambience, in this state of mind. I'm doing Ziegler. I didn't even think about Zig Ziglar, but I was sitting in there in the plane thinking, yeah, something good is going to come out of this, because there must be a reason for all of this. I'm just going to talk to the attendant. Now, the interesting thing is this: we don't know, we don't see the solutions. Like, you didn't know you're going to meet someone in to take you to Istanbul. Also, when I was there, I did not know who was on board. I did not know the stewardess. I didn't know my options, right? But I think universe does, or I think that at least something, if you don't believe in this sort of thing, perhaps something subconsciously is connected to some sort of network of possibilities. And I think the answers, the solutions are there. So I was just open. I said, okay, guys, this is on you. I just sat there comfortably. They made me tea. Everybody boarded on. I didn't worry. Mirela, I was just sitting there. And then the attendant comes and says, you know what? I really sympathize with your situation. Come up to premium. You don't need to pay anything. So I'm coming up to premium. There you go. 2 other people and me, 3 people in the whole department. So I don't need to worry, you know, being risk group. I have a whole row for myself. Like before I had a seat, a special seat. Now I have a row. Just choose, you know. Which one of the 3 do you want? Put my feet up. I had such a good time flying. I never imagined that I'm going to have. Yeah. Amazing. I love them. But the thing is, I had such a good flight in COVID, and you know, your mindset says it's going to be awful, it's going to be terrible, you know, it's going to be trouble. Flying in times like this, I mean, it's not nice, it's not safe. It was so nice, Mirela. I've never had such a nice flight. So
welcome back to London.
Thank you. Just going with this flow.
So what are your plans for 2021, my darling?
Wow. Well, you know about my launch of my podcast. So it's probably going to be end of February, beginning of March. I'm launching a podcast, and I just want, I see my platform going more visible, attracting more clients in, doing more talks, enjoying this. And of course, I'm looking for ways to create art always. As a creative director and photographer, you know, I always look for ventures, and it's been very interesting this past year what we can do from our homes even. So I'm always inspired to take more action steps and then come back and live here in the UK.
Okay.
That's a lot.
We would love to have you back here.
Thank you. I would love to be here.
Thank you for sharing everything with us. Very inspiring, very motivational, something that people need to get out of their bed and keep going, because better days are coming. Trust me. This is a very, very confidential, serious resource. Better days are coming. Wait for them.